Hey, it's your girl Abby, aka New Age Coach, and I am lighting the way for those on their way to the light. I created this new series, Coaching New Age Coach, as a means to introduce you all to spiritual leaders, to business owners, to yoga instructors, and just healers and other amazing, fantastical humans who are doing their own thing, shining their own light, and lighting their own way to make this world a better, brighter place. In other words, this series, Coaching New Age Coach, it was really designed to introduce other perspectives, to share other ideas about this world and why we're here, and highlight other options, not just from a career perspective, but from an overall thought and belief perspective too. So get ready, buckle in, and be prepared to learn something new. Let's meet our first ever featured Soul Viber on this new series, Coaching New Age Coach. It is time to formally introduce the goddess Sharr Smith here. And Sharr is a soul coach, a luminous soul coach who has her master's degree in health and wellness coaching. She has a bachelor's in women's study. And this woman is a trained culinary chef. Like, she is all of the things. So I am so excited to have her on our channel. So without further ado, Sharr, I'll let you take the mic away, and why don't you tell everybody just a bit more about yourself and your business as well.
All right, so my business is called Luminous Soul Love, and it's funny because it didn't start out that way. So originally my business was called Bitten Desires, and you hear Bitten Desires, especially after listening to Abby say I'm a trained chef, and you think food, but
yeah, I got hungry when I said that.
Right. I've had that name in my head since about roughly 8th, maybe 9th grade. And for me, it was just all about being able to bite into my desires that I had in life, because my self-expression was so crippled in my childhood by an ex-step-parent. And also, different classmates and stuff like that, because I was bullied a lot. And so for me, it was just all about self-expression. And the more that I dived into it, the more that, I was getting into being an entrepreneur and having my own business, the more that I began to see that the message was super confusing, because people would be like, Bitten Desires. I mean, it's a cool name, but what the hell is that?
What are you doing? What's happening?
Right. And so when I would explain the element of self-love and trying to basically help people enhance the quality of their life, it just wasn't translating over. Yeah. And so it made me stop, and it made me really do some reflective work, right? To see, okay, why is this message not getting across?
Like, are you going to read my tarot cards and send me a recipe? I don't understand. I don't understand.
And so it just boiled down to me not having that answer for myself. People really cannot, I don't care what you're doing, be it a YouTube channel, a business, a party, whatever it is, if you don't have the answers about who you are and what your definitive message is, regardless of if it will evolve or not, then other people are not going to understand it either. It's just not going to translate well. And so after doing that shadow work, that inner child work, Luminous Soul Love was born, because it was just all about me coming full circle to who I am, and realizing that I'm an empath and a highly sensitive person, and that I have this immense capability to be able to help people see themselves, but in a gentle, caring, and loving way. And so recognizing that power within myself on its own was something that was very like, whoa, holy crap. Like, what do you mean? We're just having a conversation. But the more and more that I began to help people, from friends and families to strangers to just, any and everybody that I would come into contact with, right? Yeah. That would be the common denominator. And so it's like, okay, I have to stop and see what this really means for my life. Is this something that I'm okay stepping into? And even that question in and of itself is like, yo, I mean, you don't have a choice. This is your gift.
No, this is happening. This is happening. And that's actually a good segue, because as you know, on my channel, we talk about all things self and soul development. It's about spiritual journey. And it sounds like you stepped right into that spiritual journey. And everyone, when they come into this path, start asking the same question. Who am I? What am I? What are we here for? And it sounds like through your own kind of spiritual journey that's led through kind of renaming and going to this new kind of naming and
learning what it meant So basically, okay, so I had to go back to the root of love in and of itself, right? Because growing up, there was this religious aspect. I've never really been religious, but religion has always been a part of my life. And so it really was this whole idea that God is love and you are love because you are
You
of
are
God,
God.
right?
Yep.
And so to be in a headspace where you literally hate your very existence, you are contemplating suicide, you're planning this out, you know, things of that nature. And so to really get to that point, you have to question, okay, what is my definition of love? Because just simply believing that I am of God and God is love, so that means I'm love, it's not working. It's not making sense to me, because everywhere I turn, the message is that you're ugly or you're not
Good
worthy
enough.
or
And
you
yeah,
shouldn't even be here, right? So the constant message that I'm getting is to hate myself. So something along the lines is not
not
making
right.
sense, right?
Yeah.
And so when I started to dive into all of that, it became the definition of self-expression through unconditional love. And so then I
That's so
had to
beautiful.
understand, okay, what is that unconditional aspect of it, and what does it really mean for me to express myself? And so it came full circle yet again, going back to bitten desires, right? And so just thinking about the fact that it was just all about me trying to give myself permission, if you will, to bite into my desires, to do all the different things that I've always wanted to do and have been constantly told no, right? From dancing to singing to pursuing different degree paths to, I mean, literally, you
It goes
name it, it
on
was just
and on.
a no, 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 that you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this, right? And so getting to a point where you really understand the dynamics of what your definition of love is what makes you luminous, is what makes you, or sets it up so that you are able to radiate that definition out to other people and have the impact that you
Yeah.
have.
Tell the viewers your kind of slogan, because I think that ties it all together.
Release, renew, and radiate.
Exactly. I think
And
that's
it's
like
just
the
all
perfect.
about surrendering and summoning your luminary goddess, right? And so understanding your power, whatever that definition or that, and I say definition loosely, it's
Yeah.
just a term that we identify with most because of how we're conditioned in society to define different things. It has to fit in some kind of box, right? And so the way that I'm delivering or choosing to deliver this message is just simply to tell you to create your own damn box. Like,
I love
whatever that box looks like for you, create
I
it.
love it. I love it. You actually have a term too that I really love, but I have a hard time saying it. Soulpreneur. Am I saying that right?
Soulpreneur.
Soulpreneur. Why don't you give us a little context about what that is and what that means?
I actually did not come up with that term. There's a book called Soulpreneur by Yvette Luciano that walks you through what it means to be a soulpreneur. And it's basically just an entrepreneur who has soul at the focal point of everything that they're doing. And soul meaning just that caring component of your complete well-being, right? So doing everything with soul. If it doesn't align, I don't want any part of it, right? And that alignment looks different for each of us. And so while a lot of people identify as being a soulpreneur, again, that narrative, that story, that reality looks completely different for each of us, because what resonates and aligns with me or for me doesn't
Isn't
align
for
and
me.
resonate with it for you. So yeah, it's not a term that I came up with.
No, but it's a beautiful term, and I think it still encapsulates a lot of like what we're all trying to do on this journey. However that comes across, ultimately you use luminous. My slogan is lighting the way for those on their way. It all comes back to the soul, to the light, and like you said, radiating that out, however that looks like for you, whatever box you do that in. So I just thought it was a really cool trend that was on your site as well. So why don't you tell the viewers just a little bit about Luminous Soul Love in terms of some of the products you offer and kind of how you've translated your journey into those products and services that you offer?
So Luminous Soul Love, again, is all about you enhancing your quality of life. I specifically focus on empaths and highly sensitive people, as well as spiritual entrepreneurs who identify with either of those categories. And I chose that specific realm of people because those are the people that I notice the most, myself included, that neglect themselves over everything and everybody else. It's like, you've been taught to be and do and everything, right, except for yourself. And so I saw that and trying to become a health and wellness coach, that was a huge gap in the industry where it's like, okay, go out and be everything for everybody, but okay, where's the fuel for this gonna come from, right? And that fuel looks differently for each of us just based on how our energy is designed to work. And so when you talk about Luminous Soul Love in its entirety, it's literally just about teaching people how they connect to the world uniquely, and then how to take that gift, that power, that understanding, and enhance your quality of life from point A to point B to point D, if you want to go there right now. Just, you need to be able to take care of yourself so that you can get going or do whatever the thing is that you want to do, even if that thing is you simply laying in bed sipping some tea.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm for that.
Right. And so whenever it comes to any of my services, I use the basis of mindfulness and self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So mindfulness, because you first have to be present to understand what type of love you need to give yourself. And so at the basis of every single last product or service that I offer, that will always be interwoven, because it's the elements that have been my saving grace. And so when we talk about your oracle readings, I literally have created 2 custom oracle spreads. And I literally make sure that you have those answers, regardless of what question you're asking.
For people who might be new, first let's backtrack, and do you mind giving just a quick little blurb about what an oracle reading is? And then we'll talk about kind of your proprietary spreads, because I'm a personal fan of those. And I'll talk a little bit about my experience with that too, but why don't you give a little context around what an oracle reading is?
Sure. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, you probably typically hear the word tarot, right? And so tarot and oracle cards are simply just a spiritual tool for you to be able to communicate with your higher self, so your intuition as well as spirit. Spirit is always around and available to you. It's just a matter of you tapping into it or learning how to recognize the energy. And so for a lot of people starting out, or for those of us that are veterans and we grow and we reach these new levels within our spiritual conscious awareness, we have to still learn how to communicate on different levels. And so sometimes we need tools, and those tools go way beyond just oracle and tarot cards. You know, they include healing crystals and Reiki and all these other different healing modalities and tools and stuff. So it's really, really cool that you dive into this. I'm trying so hard not
and dream catchers, which you make. We'll talk about that after. You have a whole slew of products, so we are going to let these people know about you.
And so going back to the oracle cards, they are simply just a divination tool to help you be able to get whatever message that is hard for you to get if you didn't have the tool in and of itself. So a lot of times what I mean by that is, a lot of times it's hard to hear the message that spirit is trying to, or universal energy is trying to send you or give you, because you have tunnel vision, or because you have all of this extra input of stuff that is just literally blocking the antenna, blocking the channel. And so sometimes you need a tool to just flat out tell you, hey, get your ass up and get out of here. Or, hey, take a chill pill, sit down somewhere and rest today.
In a nutshell too, just before we continue with that, what would you say the biggest difference, because I know a lot of people have questions, and I did as well, between tarot, like you said, and oracle?
It really, in my opinion, is just the delivery. But on a semantics level, it's the design of the cards in and of themselves, so the structure of the cards. If I'm not mistaken, tarot has a 78 card makeup, and it's divided into different suits and things of that nature that have different meanings. Whereas oracle cards, they don't have to follow that 78 card structure. You can literally make an oracle deck of 10 cards and be done. And they usually have some sort of theme. Now, tarot decks do have themes as well, but traditionally, going by the Rider-Waite deck, because that's the traditional deck that all other tarot card decks are modeled after. It is just basic, but again, modern day versions of these tarot decks and stuff like that, there are different themes associated with them as well. It's just oracle decks are traditionally known to have a theme and to be have that openness of creativity in terms of creating however many cards you want to be in there, right? And so just an example of a theme that may be associated with oracle decks. So let's see. For instance, I have this one here, which is centered around the moon and manifesting with the moon and understanding the lunar phases and, the ins and outs of what you're supposed to do for each phase. We have, let's see, my favorite one to use, just going to do 2 because I know we got a lot of stuff to cover, is the crystal oracle deck. So this one is all about different crystals and stuff. And this also helps me to learn the different crystals as I go. And
I love it. And I see the little message for me there on the bottom of the deck, letting go. You see, I'm getting what I need right now too. That is
good, right?
For sure.
I am going to share one more just because it's really, really great. And I know that, I imagine that you have people that are watching that I love to journal. So this one is called the journal deck. And it basically has different journal prompts on there for you to pull and use each day. So you can just literally shuffle them and pull like you would a regular Oracle deck and pick a journal prompt for the day. So it's really, really cool. I'm telling you.
You know what's even better than that though? Do you know what's even better than that Oracle journal deck? Is your digital journal that I have a copy of that has all of the prompts that everyone on this video watching will need in their lives.
The promise journal, yes.
People, we're going to talk about more products after, but I have my own experience with some of the services of Sharr, and I tell you, it's just beautiful. And speaking back to, so we kind of went off a little bit with Tarot and Oracle, but ultimately when we're talking about your products too, we'll bring it back to, why don't you give the viewers a little context around, like I said, your I can never say that word, proprietary spread, your custom spread that you kind of used your own spiritual intuition and guidance to actually create for your clients. Why don't you tell everyone about that?
All right, so guys, I'm sorry, I'm like super awkward right now. I'm sweating. I'm in a room with like 3 or 4 different lights on because it has more lighting in it. So please don't worry, I'm okay. I'm not over here dying.
Yes, you're not overheating.
But yes,
I'll give you the cue to go like this if I see the little sweat mustache. I'll give you like a wink. Cool. 2 winks means sweat mustache.
The glasses are already fogged up, so it is what it is at this point. I'm like, should I start fanning or am I okay?
When you're beautiful on the inside, that stuff doesn't matter, you know? So it's all right.
Thank you. But to your question, so the first custom Oracle spread that I ever created is called the Soul Path Oracle spread. And while the term Soul Path Oracle spread is nowhere near anything that I personally created, the design or the actual spread layout is something that's customary to me. And so basically this came out of necessity, as most things do as an entrepreneur, right? It came out of necessity with trying to literally understand the different stages of spiritual awakening for myself, right? And understanding at any given point in time what the hell was happening if I couldn't figure out the solution, because I'm very type A personality, and so I like to have all of the different pieces of information before I make a move. And Spirit is probably like, girl, I can't with you right now.
Let go. So maybe the card was for you.
Right. And so what I found was one of the questions that I had been asking most is, what is this supposed to be teaching me? Like, what is the point of all of this? And where this makes no sense. Like, where is this taking me, right? Because those are two of the biggest things that let me back up. 2 of the biggest issues that we have, and out of those 2 questions, the one that we've been conditioned to constantly worry about and stress out about is, where am I going, right? And so when you begin to get that spiritual knowledge, you begin to understand, I need to worry less about where this is taking me and just simply enjoy the process, the journey, the present moment. But since this is a factor, let's get it. Let's figure out. And so I spoke, I sat down and I was like, Spirit, if it's okay for us to have this information so that we can complete the transformation, please give it to me. And they did, right?
I love it so much.
And so the very first thing that you find out when I do this Oracle reading is what the situation is in and of itself, because a lot of times that's not clear either. It's like, I know something is off, I know something is wrong, but I can't pinpoint it. But that still doesn't feel right when I hear myself say this out loud. And so it pinpoint the specific situation as it is at hand without any type of judgment or comparison. It just, this is what you're doing with, here it is. Get over it.
I'm going to tell you how to get over it in the other pieces of the spread.
Right. And so then the next thing we talk about is the actual lesson. And then we literally just pick apart the lesson, not pick it apart in terms of creating additional stress, but pick it apart in terms of you being able to understand the method behind the madness, because that's what we've been conditioned to understand. And so spirit knows that, and it just simply wants the best for us, and it wants us to live abundantly. So if this is what's going to help you get on the road and get moving, here you go. And so overall, what I do is we get the specifics. of what's going on. We get the lesson that you're supposed to be learning, the dynamics of all of it. And again, I told you at the basis of every product and service that I offer my clients will be mindfulness and self-love.
Self-love.
So I designed the oracle reading to be able to tell you two different things around that, right? So the first is where you're neglecting yourself. The second is how to fix it. So what to do. So now you know what's wrong, but how do you fix it? So the reading gives you that too. My favorite part of this particular oracle spread is that it also tells you what you don't realize you're manifesting.
Oh, that's a biggie.
Right. With every decision we make and everything that we go through, sure, there's a lesson behind it. But what we skip over or what we're not always aware of is, how is this beneficial to my life? How is this helping me get better? Right. How is this helping me to improve? Because at the end of the day, it's the transformation that spirit is wanting you to have so that you can go on about your business.
Yes.
And keep going. And so it also reveals to you what you don't realize you're manifesting. Now, being atypical, again, I want to know, okay, great, I'm manifesting that, but what the hell am I supposed to do with it? And so it also teaches you what to do with that particular gift. And so it's my favorite part because it's like a freaking surprise. It's like, oh, I got a gift.
So amazing. I love it. Guys, I am a testimony for this spread because Sharr made a full reading, and I think just to pull it all together too, from my own experience, that reading, it was right on point. Like you're saying, to have the actual answers and context laid out first to understand what you're actually receiving, hugely helpful, but also the biggest thing that you haven't mentioned, not on the actual spread.
I was going to say, I forgot.
But your 5-day strategy, right? Like with her oracle reading that she sends you, she also gives you a 5-day strategy along with it. So not only do you get the context and understand kind of what your situation is, what you don't realize you're manifesting, what you have to look out for at that current point of time. Something that's missing overall in the industry is, okay, great. Yes, I can tap into spirit. I can tap into my higher self. I understand the guidance. I receive in synchronicities. I get all this, but okay, great. I've been seeing the same number for 4 months now or something. What does it actually mean? Like, what do you want me to do with this, spirit? What do you want me to do? And Sharr's 5-day strategy literally gives you the next 5 days of your life mapped out with some practical, actionable steps that you can actually take to keep that momentum of that spiritual guidance going, and to really be able to understand those next inspired steps or what this actually all means. And I tell you, I did the first exercise she sent me, and it was such a profound experience that I had with one of it. And to share with everyone, one of the prompts that I was given in my 5-day strategy was really to sit down with myself and answer the question about what it is about fear that actually scares you, or you know, what is it about fear and how that applies to your life. And I've had situations when we talk about inner child and meeting that, but boy, she was just standing right in front of me, looking me in my eye, and we got to the root of the why, to things I didn't even know what I was connected to. And with that, and being able to use that exercise to actually get to the root of what it is that's causing me to have this fear, or what fear actually means to me, that root itself then led me to have that strategy to take real steps in real life to be like, oh, that makes sense, and now I should go this way. So I think that was huge.
Yeah. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and that it was very impactful for you, because that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to accomplish in the end. It isn't about the information in and of itself. It's about teaching you what to do with the information once you have it, because like you said, that's an element that's missing. It's like, okay, I had this oracle reading and I can't remember half of what this lady told me. And so to solve that, I just make sure you have a recording. You know, if you want to meet live, I'm open to that. But typically, the way that I do my readings is that they are recorded. I literally sit here and I show you everything from beginning to end, you writing out your strategy, all of that, so that you can see what's happening and what's going on as I'm getting the spiritual download. And it's just, you now have a keepsake so that you're not, you know, and nothing against doing the readings live. It's just me, myself, personally, I would go and have tarot and oracle card readings and be like, damn it, what did she say? Like,
next. So true, though. It's so true.
Yeah. And so
But that I recommend everyone to go to Sharr's website after, which we will give you, and absolutely book one, because it was beautiful, right on point, and I still go back to it. In the context of learning more about you and just your business overall and your journey, let's switch gears and ask, what do you find challenging about kind of owning your own spiritual business, or if you want to take that to just being on the spiritual path, or whatever way that question resonates for you, just kind of what's most challenging?
So the most challenging part is, and it's not even a bad challenge, it's just I recognize it as one, right? And so the most challenging part I'll take that back. I have two. The first one, and I'll do this one first because it's quicker. The first one is being met with the challenge of trying to learn how to function and exist in this particular realm of space when your family and those closest to you don't understand.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
When you gonna get a traditional job? Like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, sure, why not? And then when money start coming in, it's like, oh, well, can you
read my cards?
Right. Wait a minute. And the other challenge is, and this one is an ongoing one. Again, this one isn't bad. It's just I recognize it as a challenge. Is understanding and then applying the dynamics of my own growth. For instance, so
that's a big one. That was a question, so thank you for answering that intuitively.
I got you covered. For instance, my particular niche is spiritual awakening, and within that niche, I specifically target self-love and manifesting. So teaching you how to access your frequency of abundance. Again, manifesting goes way beyond money. We're talking about all aspects and elements of your life, right? Mm-hmm. Now, within that realm, there are specific people that I am niching down to, and those will be the empaths and the highly sensitive people. Now that I am learning more about human design, we are getting into the specifics of particular human design aura types. So you have, I believe it's about 5 or 6 of them. Mm-hmm. And learning that I myself am a manifester, which is like a huge sense of humor, like a huge sense of humor, okay? It's like, oh, that's why that interests me so much. Great, thanks.
Got the memo.
Right. And then understanding how my particular aura type is supposed to function and utilize energy, and the dynamics between the resting phase and the explosion of creative energy phase, and why it's so hard sometimes to, come up with all of these different ideas or concepts, or figure out how I want to present things to the public on mm-hmm. social media and stuff like that, or launch these different programs. And it's because I'm trying to force myself when I'm supposed to be in resting mode, yeah. versus taking advantage of the explosive creative mode. Yeah. And so it really is just very, very eye-opening to understand your energetic DNA, and it's helping me to see the types of clients that I am attracting in a completely different way, which is awesome because it allows me to better cater to you and understand the dynamics of what you need, especially when I don't always get that feedback, right? Because a lot of people aren't comfortable saying, hey, I need help, right?
So like you said in the beginning, it's really hard to classify for yourself. So you're a little mm-hmm. ahead of the game for that. And you mentioned empath and highly sensitive person too. So why don't you actually tell the viewers too, like what an empath means, and maybe just talk a few types. So we talked about aura types, you're a manifestor. Why don't we talk about empaths, what that means, and just a few examples of what that might look like. And everyone, just to give context there too, Sharr offers an empowered empaths class. I also had the luxury of attending. Super insightful, learned a lot about myself, so I recommend that as well. But why don't you give the viewers kind of a little package around empaths in that?
Pull up my notes. I'm like, wait. Let me go to my
notes. Click. She's ready with the presentation. We have to switch the view. She's like, and now, slide 1.
All right, so off rip, the difference between an empath and a highly sensitive person.
Guys, also, you're welcome for her laugh. Isn't it just contagious? It's so cute. But
thank you.
No, I'm focused. I can't focus. Every time you laugh, I laugh. We're just going to be laughing.
Hey, laughter is medicine for the soul, okay? All right, so an empath is simply an individual that has the gift and ability to transmute or bring to a certain state any type of energy or emotion that they come in contact with, okay? When you talk about a highly sensitive person, that is an individual that has sensitivities based on the 5 different senses. So hear, taste, touch, smell, sight.
Well, if you don't know the 5, then you have to go back first before we get you here.
Right. And so the reason why I decided to do both of these together is first and foremost because I experienced both of those. But at the same time, one really isn't that different from the other in terms of the stimuli that's present in the environment. There's something that sparks you or something that irritates you. And it's like, okay, whoa, wait, how do I function? How do I navigate this? And some of the principles are the same in terms of how to navigate whatever stimuli you come in contact with. And so that's why I decided to basically put both of you in the same space, not the same box, but the same space so that you have access to some of the same tools and materials. They may function a little bit differently for you, but the same rules or the same tools apply for you, right?
Right.
And so the other part of your question, I believe, was some of the types of empaths, right? So I'll give you 2 because this is part of a course.
Or just high level, not giving away anything, because I do implore you guys to check out the course.
So there are multiple types of empaths. And I dare say that there are even more than 10, but the common 6 is what most people are familiar with and what most people are able to, kind of pull up online or see on social media or whatever. And those are just the emotional type, the physical type, the geomantic type, the earth type, the intuitive, as well as the animal type. And if you're interested and are not quite sure if the course is for you, you can definitely go to my Instagram, which is at Luminous Soul Love, right? Not Luminous Soul Love, right? But at Luminous Soul Love. Gotta love it.
It's Luminous Soul, got it.
And actually scroll down the feed and I break down 3 different tips for each of those types. And so it'll kind of give you a overview of how to navigate just off of the free 99, right? So trying to figure out, okay, why am I so aggressive when you're talking about the animal type empath, right? Because we all have that aggressive animal nature, but it shows up or manifests a little bit differently for the animal type empath. There's a heightened sense to it, if you will, which is kind of a play on words because animal instinct and aggression is already heightened anyway, right? So it's like a conundrum. It's like, damned if I do, damned if I don't, right?
Conundrum is such a fun word, though. Conundrum is just so much fun to say.
And so I basically walk you through on a surface level, just how to identify those particular elements when talking to other people, or when you're in situations where you just don't agree and it pisses you off and you're like, whoa, let me take a step back and figure out how to navigate this. And so again, on my social media, I give you that surface level, and in the course Empowered Empath, I literally take you deeper into it and give you the step-by-step items that you can use to literally gain a sense of control over your sensitivities and freaking navigate, okay? Enhance the quality of your life. And
back to that strategy concept in your actual class, you also give, if you're an intuitive empath, right? Yes, we talked about having all these spiritual tools like crystals or dream catchers or tarot cards or whatever, but there are certain things that are more beneficial to you to try to take into that as well based on your empath type. So it's a super, super informed class. And again, another 2 thumbs up for everyone watching. Check it out.
Thanks for making it to the end of part 1 with Sharr Smith at Luminous Soul Love on this episode of Coaching New Age Coach. As a reminder, all the helpful links that Sharr shared in this video will be in the description box. Her website, her Instagram, her YouTube channel, all of the things and ways that you can find her and her products and services. So make sure to check out that description. And more so, if you found the information in this video helpful, please remember to subscribe, to hit that notification bell, to like or leave a comment. But more importantly, continue on to part 2 to hear all of the other amazing things that Sharr has to share, including some helpful